project aims to support the capacity development of young researchers interested in adolescent and youth development issues. So, can you read it for me?
Undertake policy relevant research.
That's the whole lesson here. That you want to undertake, every other thing is based on this, undertaking policy. And that's why I took time to talk to you about, for example, what's the youth policy, what are the components, what are the thoughts around it. Okay. So let's talk about research. And if you open 10 books on research, they will have 10 frameworks. Everybody has his way of thinking. But the good thing is that there are commonalities that are essential. So I think it always starts with posing a question. And like I tell people, the more fertile mind you have, or the mindset you have to ask questions, the more successful you can be as a researcher. Think about this. The law of gravity. What happened? Somebody was sitting down under the tree and a fruit fall. Is that the first time in the world, in life, that fruit will fall from a tree? I'm sure since the day God created this world, fruit has been dropping, but nobody asked questions. We all just take it as given. And somebody say, why are things always dropping and they are not? And that gave us a whole natural law. And so every good research starts with a question. And I'm sure that I didn't even talk to you about where the questions come from. But I always tell people one of the easiest way about questions is everyday observation. Everyday events. The other way is conversations. The other way is reading books and materials. And then having posed a question, you then go and collect and examine the answer to the question. Professor will tell you that yesterday, I was teaching a class yesterday morning in Lagos. I had a different framework than this question, but they are all the same. This is just the three easiest things. Pose a question, try to answer the question, and then share your answer to that question, and you're done. But in doing all that, I always tell people, it starts with a proposal. I do a lot of grant seeking, I do a lot of grantmanship, and that's why you probably see me sometimes in this room, sometimes in upstairs, because we're only, as I'm talking to you, we're only like 2 projects. I'm probably only like 5 projects in my life right now. I'm running one in Ife, I'm running all kinds of projects in my life. But everything around them that's the same. Start with an idea that is formalized, and that's a proposal. And that starts the whole idea. You start with an idea, then such topic. You develop the proposal. You go and look for money for it. If you are aiming to continue to use your money to do research, 2 things are likely to happen to you. You become poorer, and then you don't do good people. Except, there's an exception. You have great skill to do secondary data analysis. Then you don't need to spend money to collect data. And yet you can publish great work. People are looking like me like, is it serious? We did a work late last year. We were looking at sexual violence-related pregnancy. We are not going to get that money. If I use the whole of my salary, they pay me, like we say in NASU, our salary cannot take us home. Our take home cannot take us home. I can't do that study in Wall State. And that's why I tell people must develop a mindset to look for grants. It's a difficult thing sometimes, but if you don't start, you'll not get there. So, grants, you get your fund, you do your research, you get your result, you apply the result, but at the center of it all is what? Your proposal. So what's a proposal? I always tell people, sorry, I'm not doing definition, I don't read slides, I'm sure you have noticed, I just like to talk to people. When you think about proposal, you can define anyway. Yeah, it's a document that presents a case for action, so that somebody, you are like a salesman saying, I'm selling bottled water. buy my bottled water. That's what I'm doing. You know, I have this great idea. I need somebody. You are presenting a case, and I say it serves like 3 major purposes, and that's what people often don't remember. There are 3 cases. Number 1 is a communication tool. So when I'm raised, when I'm in normal setting, like when I used to be in Ife, or even here, and somebody comes to me and says, I have a great idea. When I listen, I feel like, okay, go and put it down. Because what you have said, as far as I'm concerned, means nothing. Because if I ask you tomorrow and change the story, how am I going to hold you to it? But when you write down, you know, writing is a precise art. Talking is not precise. I can start talking to you now, you know, like, you know, some of you might know the story that they talk about in Yoruba land, about a community where they believe that the mother of the king is a witch. And everybody said, we'll come a meeting together and we'll tell her, you are the spokesman, tell her, I will pronounce the beginning and then you complete the story. And after the king, everybody has sat down. You must pronounce the beginning, nobody pronounce the end. And the king said, you must pronounce the end. You must quickly change the story. You can't hold it because that's speaking. But writing is a precise art. It's an evidence. It's a communication. So you are saying to me, this is what I want to do. And it's so extremely important because variables also change. Let me give you a story. You know, I like to tell stories a lot. It's something that happened in the last 24 hours. In this project we are doing, there's an amount of money we said we are going to run this project for, a couple of some millions we are going to run this for. And we have what to do. We are going to do this, we are going to do this, we are going to do this. But now petrol money has changed. If I told them just give me this money, I want to go and do a project. Now I have to try and bamboozle them to give more money. What I need to do is like, this is what we budgeted for petrol. Now petrol has become this amount. I didn't need argument. You better bring the extra money, otherwise this work can't be done. Because there's a communication tool where we are saying exactly what we want to do. Does that make sense? That's one of the first things. The other thing it does, if there's a plan for action, you know that once I do this, I talk to the people, the next thing is this, next thing. And because you have set it in mind, it's like a plan you can go. But the other one is that it's a contract. One of my first, my very first grant, it was a 2-year grant that at the end of 1 year, it didn't get renewed. Because I haven't learned then that proposals are contracts. You know, this guy was trying to tell me to tell you my story about, sorry. So these are one of my stories. I got a grant, and in that grant, it was going to be a work that I'm going to do some work in school, in the university environment, around young people and sexually reproductive petition, blah, blah, blah. And believe me, I did an extremely good work. Even better than those who got the second year. By my own reckoning, you know, it's every man say good thing about it. But let me tell you one of the interesting things. That was the work I did like 17 years ago. I produced a group, Campus Rights Initiative on campus. That club is still existing today. They're still running. I mean, but what happened? When I wrote this proposal, and then I started on campus, I found that something changed. So I was talking to the program officer. I'm going to change this. He said, yeah, that's good, that's good. I'm going to change, yes, that's good, just go on. As life will happen, the man japa before the end of the year, and they brought another program officer. And she looked at my report and said, you said you would do A, B, C, D. What you have done is A, K, J, K. I'm like, I told the other program officer, he approved it. Can you show me where he wrote it? That was the end of my project. Because it's a contract. When contracts break, there's penalty for it. But what she have done was to get them to rewrite the contract, to incorporate the new things and to drop the old ones. I didn't learn then that proposal is a contract. But now I know better. That is a contract. And what it means that if you say you do it, you have to do it. If you don't have to, if they are not doing it, there must be a good reason. And you must let them know, and they must agree that that's it is. If it's not written, it's not being communicated. Okay. I always tell people that when you think about research and that it is a 4-dimensional thing. This I didn't carry from book. These are based on my own personal thinking and experience. But there are only 4 basic things. One, it starts with a powerful idea. An idea that becomes irresistible, and the person is like, wow, let me look for money for you. It starts with a good idea. And like I said, I didn't even talk more to you about idea. Then the second one is what I call potent science. You know, the difference between a researcher and a non-researcher is a trained mindset to think in a particular way. Let me give you an example. We were doing a research work some time ago around a couple of states. And that research work included us collecting data from the health facility, from the health workers, and then to go home to collect information about the woman, from the women at home, about their children and that use of facility. And then one researcher called me excitedly when we got to the field. He went first to the clinic, and that day was their only clinic. So he saw the health workers, but he saw a lot of mothers and a lot of children. I said, sir, everything we need is here. The mothers are here, the children are here, we can fill this one faster. You know, like the story of the man who saw water and say, I can be baptized now. So I said, no, you can't. I said, you can't take those mothers. You have to go and look for them. He said, but they are already here. Why do I want to waste time, money, effort? It's like I wanted to punish him as far as it's concerned. So I have to explain to him or her, to him. I said, you know what? You want to know how mothers use facilities. If you use the women in these facilities, you can't answer that question because there are women who didn't come here. Who at all? So you have to take them, you have to sample in a way, you have to, like, you know, that takes a trained mind to know that there is something called sampling procedure. There's something called a bias. It could be population bias, it could be, it takes a trained mind. And that's why when people say, when people come and say, come and give us a lecture or train us how to get grants, I always laugh. I do it though, and I collect my money, you know. I collect my consultancy. I collect my money. But the truth is that you can't teach anybody how to get grants in one class setting. You can give him a broad idea. Why? To learn the science takes time. That's why we run epidemiology. That's why we run research methods. You can't sit people down in 1 hour and teach the whole of the epidemiology. You can't teach the whole of statistical research. And that's one of the challenges I want to throw to you. Continue to develop your understanding of science, of research. It's a lifelong phenomenon. I'll tell you one last story on this. Not the last story for the lecture, one last story. You know, I think that I've been involved in research for several years. I think I know a little bit about research. 3 years ago, I was working in Gopaka Institute. And we were going to do a work. And believe me, one of my colleagues, who was our qualitative expert, developed a proposal. I started talking about some methods. I have never had them before in my life. In the whole of my life, I have never. And yet I have been doing research for like 20, 30 something years. But I have never. So I had to go and read when so it's a lifelong venture to develop capacity of political science. You can always build, you can always become better. The third dimension is about persuasive presentation. You know that if you meet two statesmen, the man that you buy from may not be the one that has the greatest product. He's the one that has the greatest ability to convince you. And that's true about proposals. You can have powerful ideas. You can have very potent science. If you are not going to present in a way that will appeal to the people, you won't win the grant. Our persuasion here is about how you craft, how you write, how you present it. Is that all science of when they see that work, what jobs are them? Do you know that teachers, when they mark, that's why it's not good to mark this, do this long essay questions. Sometimes some people are writing are so nice that before you start marking, you are happy. And then you see my own writing, you cannot read it. When I write an exam, and I'm not joking, there used to be lines in the books. I write like one sentence across 3 lines so that they can try and see it. Because if I write normally, they won't see it. So I have to write like this. I'm sure some people will just be surpassing my back for. Persuasive presentations are important. As with the writing style, writing skill, all of those are important. And I do hope that we can talk about writing in one of these days. And all of this talk about proposal, but it doesn't talk about getting the result. Why? Because if you develop all this and you lose the processing, it becomes 0. It's like you do exam and you have done the exam very well. And when they say, come and submit, you forgot to put in your bag and you went to, and you are jubilating. And you then got home and you are like, of course you know the mark you get now. You already know. And I can tell you from personal experience, I have missed several grant opportunities because I didn't process well enough, particularly timing. When the university says deadline is 12 midnight, when you try to submit 12:01, the computer doesn't take it. And so it's about this kind of mindset, understanding you need an idea that is powerful, you need science that is cutting edge, you need writing ability and presentation that is excellent, and you must pay attention to every detail. If they say start with writing yourself before your name, don't say name is better than name is should come first. No, you are not the owner of the money. You want his money, you must follow his instruction. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit. I said this is going to be 10 minutes. So, when you think about ideas, we all think about ideas. Some ideas are interesting, but they are not doable. I've had a master's student who did not finish the master's. She has this very interesting idea. I'm like, don't, this idea. It's, At the end of the day, she went to, what's the name of this place in Kappa? One research institution in Kappa. I don't even know if you know where Kappa is, FIRO. Because she wanted a particular equipment. They said their own are spoiled. They will go to NAFDAC. Because of masters. I always tell people, let me talk about, let me tell you about my experience. One of my most exciting experiences about doing research. Many years ago, when I started research, I used to be in occupational health. If you look at some of my early papers, it will work among welders, arc welders, among furniture makers. That was where I started my research work for. Before I just found myself in this. One of the things I read those days, I have done work around welders, I've done work around their eyes, I've done work around their lungs, and I like to be systematic. So I wanted to do additional work. So I read a work that talk about the effect of the exposure to the lights, I read that, and the heat, and how it affects sperm production, sperm motility, sperm characteristics. I'm like, wow, I have an opportunity to do this work. So I went to welders and wanted to collect sperm from them. Why are you laughing? Guess how many people agreed to give me their sperm? What do you think will go through their mind? Juju. But no man can do it.
Yeah, sure.
In this place, it's just juju. You want to make money.
This man is a troublemaker.
And see, but I have a great idea. But I must refine that idea through several lenses. The context, the desirability, the availability of equipment. If you don't reframe it, you don't get there. As if I didn't learn from that. Another year, I said I will do. When I moved to reproductive health, these are some of my most constant stories about research. I went to meet my supervisor at my BSc level, Professor Guni, who is a parasitologist. We have published a work around malaria, IPT in the top journal. I'm like, I just read about the relationship between placenta, malaria, and concentration, parasite concentration, and blood cord blood concentration, and the work had been done around here, even in Africa. So I brought the team together. I called Pastor Buni, who is the pastor. I called my gynecologist friend. I called public. I called enough. What do you want to do? You want to collect placenta of people. I check it for malaria parasite. Of course, you know the answer that question. The mothers refuse to get placenta. I said, we have good ideas. It's not that we have good ideas. You must pass through a number of grids to examine, should this proceed to the level of, in my regular time, God, I don't want, this is not a regular lecture, this is just like 15 minutes. I will show you what some of those grids are. But the idea is, you start an idea, but must pass through certain interrogation before it becomes truly a concept paper. And then, all right, so what's concept paper? Can you read from Bilal? Then I'm now go on. Go on, read the first sentence.
Concept paper lays the foundation for the development of full research proposal and study agenda. So
it's not the full research paper. In fact, when you talk with many agencies, they don't ask you for a full research paper because it's a waste of time. They want to see, are you on the right track before they go and ask you to go and develop full paper. So it's simply a foundation that gives you that broad idea that you can then develop further. Number two, Amina.
Provides an introductory form of communication between the researcher and relevant.
So sometimes we want to do research. Some agencies will tell you this is what we want to do. Some agencies are just open. And you just want to ask them first, this is the kind of idea we are thinking about. Does it make sense to you? Is this something you'll be interested in? Before we go and waste the whole of our life writing. So it gives you that kind of opportunity to initiate discussion. You can't just call somebody for foundation and say, you know what, I'm thinking of developing youth index, so do you think you will like it? But if you do an introductory paper, a concept, they can then take a look, take a time, examine it and say, okay, does this happen to us? Oh, go and change it this way, it will meet our need. That kind of. And finally, sir.
Comprised of many of the same items found in the proposal.
So the same, so somebody say, why do I write it? Essentially, it's about writing almost the same thing. But this is just like giving some quick insights. But it's not always like that. Sometimes people will tell you how they want their concept paper to be. There is grand challenge now out that asking something about AI in medicine. They tell you this is what you want, this is what you want, this is what you want. So the first law is follow the instruction of the funding agency. That's the first law. It's not what you read in book or what you read in school. Then the second law is when there is nothing specific, then follow what you know in the norm that you learned in school and you learned in research space. All right. And I always think that there are three dimensions to everything we talk about. It's about problem, process, and provisions. I like to do things like the same words, so it makes it easy for me to remember. So the problem, what are you proposed to address? Why is that the problem you want to address? The whole problems in the world. This world is full of many problems. Why is that the one you want to address? And then the second thing is the process. How do you plan to do it? When do you plan to do it? And then the last is provision. What do you need in terms of resources? Money, material, and so on. Once you have those three answers, you are done. You can go to bed. So, format for concept paper, there is no concept, there is no format. The format that works is the format that the man who wants to fund you says, but if you don't have that, then do certain things that you know. But across boards, so far, I found that everybody wants certain things. They want to know the problem you are solving. They want to know your plan for solving. They want to know what it takes to talk. It may change in different ways, how they arrange things, specificities, but that's the one. So follow the instruction. I can't say that alone. Follow the instruction, follow the instruction, follow the instruction. Otherwise, you are failed. Okay, so, no, my last one. What do we want? And this is my last one. Oh no, this is what we want. The other two are just example from other works. Just to show you that there are commonality in task, but there are specificities in what each individual wants. So this is the kind of thing we are looking for you to do that one. You have a title of your proposed research, 20 words maximum. Give us a background to that research, about 250 words. Present a statement of your problem, objective of the research. What are the specific research questions? Some insight around the literature. If possible, I should probably write that there. I didn't write that there. Preferably, get a theoretical framework to guide your thinking about the work. Develop your method of how you want to do the work. What is the result? And provide us with 10 references, so to say. And this is what we are asking of you, that you do, so that we all can see where you are going and you can make input to it. Okay, so this is what we are expecting you to submit, but don't start this way by starting to write topic. The way to start is simply to read and read. There was a young person that came to me from Center for Gender once. She's doing BSc. And they were looking for people to supervise them. She wanted to do something about reproductive gender, blah, blah, blah. So they said she should come to see me. So after we spoke, I didn't see her for a long time. Then one day I saw the director. And the director said, Prof, that student said you don't want to supervise her. So I started laughing. I said, no, I didn't say that. She decided that she didn't want this man and this trouble. Because the day he came, he met one of my resident doctors who I was supervising in my office. So she came and said, I want to supervise me. I'm like, are you sure? Say yes. So I told my resident doctor, tell her my condition for supervision. And I said, number one, that I say you must read 25 papers and you must submit all the 25 articles before I open page 1 of your writing. So I went on. So I told her, no, don't do 25, do just 10 and read. And bring them from me. I have to bring them, the 10. And I have to ask you questions about them to know you have read them. So I told the madam, I said, that's why the poor girl ran away. Like, what she doesn't know is that if you don't read, you can't begin to write. If you don't read and you're writing research, you are simply wasting your time. So don't start by jumping to topics. Remember something, I don't know who said it, maybe I did, maybe I saw. People say, this work has not been done before. There are tons of paper. Because there is paucity of data. That's a very popular one. There is paucity of data in this area. To the best of my knowledge. To the best of my knowledge. Oh my God. There was a girl, and this is a true life story, and I read out of this story. The girl is a professor now, but she was going to get a job there. I wish she got the job here. I would have called her name if she was here to remember. But I can't call her name because she's not here. She was going to do this very interesting work in health sciences, in environmental health. And like nobody else, there is no. And I didn't know either than anybody at all because it's not my area. So I said, well, there's a friend of mine, Professor Joshua Ojo, in physics, who's an earth physicist. I said, go and talk to him. He might know some people. When we got to Ojo probably gave him like 10 papers and she had done the same thing. I just said, but you know, I've not done as much work. There's no man in biology. So when she came back, I'm like, Did you find it? He said they gave me like 25 papers. And as far as he's concerned, nobody has done any work. You simply talk about the limit of what your fash had been. So just start writing. You have ideas, start reading. Read, 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 and read. And that, when you finish reading, to start writing becomes easy. And you will not need to plagiarize. Because you have read and imbibed the idea. But if you have to copy, what is your good idea? And then copy it. You have only 2 papers and you are copying it. You will plagiarize the person. By the time you have read, you will find instruments that people have developed. So you don't need to sweat sometimes. You find people who have gone through a way and they run into problem. And in their discussion, they've talked about it. We did this and we ran into this problem. This is not the way to go. And you come there prepared to sit down and to write something meaningful. So if nothing else, please read. Please read. Follow the instruction for development of concept paper. 4 feet for good concept paper. Cutting edge. Something that is new, that is nice. Clarity in the way you present it. The content is all put together and it can be understood by anyone easily. It's like a good story. All right. It is what your writing conveys to the reader that is judged, regardless of what you have in your mind or have in your head. It is what you write on paper that you can read. We are not our. We are not mind readers. So if you have great ideas, if you cannot convey it to us, well, there is no way we can make a judgment that you have good ideas. All right, enjoy the rest of the afternoon. If there are questions, I'll take 1 or 2 questions. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Concerning this topic, Professor, one thing I always wonder is concerning the secondary data. How do I know that this idea I have, that the data is actually being captured in the whatever data set?
I'm sure my guys will answer this question.
Okay.
But
do I have to go and check first before developing? Okay.
I can give you an idea. Somebody asked me a question like this a few days ago. You know, one of the things that we're going to do here is to introduce a number of data sets. If I want to do a work now, because of having been in the field, I almost know the kind of data set that I will use. Because we know data sets that are what they are focused on. You know, demographic and health survey, anything you think around fertility, reproductive rate. If you think about multiple cluster indicator surveys, you know that's done by UNICEF. So UNICEF is going to talk about thematic areas. You know? So your understanding of what's available out there makes it easy to know what to approach. But that's not sufficient. For every one of data, there is an intention and objective by the quality study. And the theme and the outline will be available. The questionnaire for most studies will be at the back of that. So when you have the idea, you have enough opportunity to say the kind of variables that will speak to my ideas. Are they captured there or not? But sometimes it's not all of them. Maybe one is captured, another one is not captured, and sometimes you need to bring 2 data together. For example, if you are doing a study and you want to map how women are using antenatal care, I find that in DHS, and then find another study that have mapped health facilities in the country. You might be able to do a work to bring them together. So your own knowledge, which is part of the reason why we are introducing data set this week. There's also the fact that you have the opportunity to check through and see what it is. But remember that secondary data may not always capture everything you need. Sometimes it may need to modify your work to speak to what has been captured, because they didn't collect it for you. They collected it for themselves, but you want to use it. So, but I'm sure these are kind of questions that will be answered severally in this session. Any other question? Go ahead.
Okay, mine is bringing out that originality in like when those gaps and searching out the papers then and making it your own, as in bringing out the originality in that. For example, for my page, I've been trying to many of these things, a lot has been done, on this topic, this idea and all that. So how can I bring that down? Or how I've been reading and I'm still struggling the originality in the work.
You know, when you read, there are several ways of reading. You can read like you read to a newspaper for information. You can read with a critical mind to see what is missing here. What do they know? Or what is it that they don't know that needs to be known? And many times when we read discussions, they will talk about other works that are needed. So originality does not mean it is totally novel. One of my, oh my God, I was going to tell you one of my books that I like to refer to. I was going to mention it now, it just escaped me. I can picture the book. You talk about the fact that it's not about totally bring something totally new, but might be examining something in a new light. You know, I'm sure that there is nothing new under the sun, but yet there are new things every time. Look, everything we have, there's nothing we have that is new. Everything we have is a derivation of the existing thing, merged together, presented in a new way. And I'm talking about real life. I don't know if anybody ever watched the film about the man who invented the wiper in the car. There's a great film about the guy who, I don't know his name, I watched this film many years ago. He invented, and then the company, Ford company, told him he was working for them, that he can't own the patent because what you use are part of the things that they have made in the car. You know, that we have this fire, we have. So they tried to give him money. I said no, he wants to own the patent. No, the patents. So they took him to court. So when they told him that, so they asked him to get a lawyer, I said no, he's going to be his own lawyer. So they told him, you say you produce this. The rubber, did it not exist? This, and the guy in defense then presented the lawyer with a book and said this book was written by, he wrote that of the name of the man. He said, do you agree? The man said he agreed. The lawyer said he agreed. He said, okay, open the word. The paper he was in, the paper there, they produced it. The word he wrote there, and this was not existing before. He said the way he put the words together was what make it an original writing of his own. And therefore the way he put the word was what made him, believe me, won that case. Yes. True life case. I was many years ago. So sometimes it's not about, it's total, but you know there are many things that let me share a true life story. Research now, I will close. Think about this. You know HIV world. That women need to, people need to take their drugs regularly to be able to be free, get their viral load down, okay? But we know that people also sometimes have problem getting there. And somebody thought, why should people come to clinic every day? Is it not possible to ask somebody to collect it for them? Hello? Does that not sound simple and straightforward? Yes. Do you know that that alone transformed the world of HIV? In Africa, people are always, if women have problem at home, what do? They go to other women, right, for advice. And somebody tried to talk about mentor mothers. So let's get some women, let's call them mentors, let them be supporting younger women. That became a big project across the world. What's new in sorry, why is smiling? This sounds like common sensical thing. But someone just say, why are people coming and going like this? Because of drug every month or every day. Can't we do 3 months supply? 6 months supply? It sounded like unnecessary. But those are just look at the same problem, the different eyeglass, and ask me question, why is it not happening? Why is, and that became the originality.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
But like I said, this is not my job. It's Sunday Adedini's job, as well as that job. My own job is to tell you these stories I've told you. Let me go. It's Sunday.
Thank you, Prof. Just thinking about pitching a research idea and selling such for a funder to support. In other words, there's no call for proposal, call for concept, but just have an idea that you would like to pitch and then get funded. And there are colleagues that have done this extensively, perhaps because of their connection with the funders. I know some colleagues that they will just come up with this thing and they will write the Gate Foundation and they will write this and they will write that. Can you please fund this? And increasingly also helping them. There's this Great Catalyzed project which seeks to showcase and increase visibility for researchers across Africa. So something similar to that. But before you get to the point that you become so visible that funders or program officers in different fund organizations can write to you. But so how do you then navigate that tapestry such that you can pitch your idea and get funders to support?
Okay.
Yes.
You know, this word is biased. Let me start with that statement. Usually people get to that level by the network and the reputation they have established. There was no call for this Sparkle project. It's not Ford Foundation Project and say we are looking for project to fund. No. There was no call. That's the truth. So how did they happen? I know, so let me use true life story. Years ago, Ford was going to do, I was doing a work, and one of the program officers in Ford was a younger researcher who worked with a team I was working in. Somehow, we didn't get close, but somehow it seemed to like what I do. Then years after, they're like, we want to do a work to summarize what we have funded for 16 years in West Africa. And they called me to do it for them, to lead a team. So I led that team, we finished the work, I gave them, I collected some nice money, I went my way. Then they are thinking about, we want to start something around youth. So, Prof, do you have any idea that you think you can work on? I said, yeah, this idea. And that's how I pitched the idea. So I pitched, I'm like, okay. Can we examine this? Okay, yeah. So we started that dialogue. If they don't know me, maybe it might be a bit more difficult. But on the other hand, I also know, and I'm using true life example. There's a mentor of mine, Priscilla. She leads, I'm sure I'm not Rosa. She leads a group called Brave Art Initiative. She's been doing some of the most phenomenal work, as far as I know, in the area of gender-based violence. Without no funding from anybody, she will pursue a case of GBV, take the people to court, the violators, but as she was doing that work, and as she was speaking about it, people were writing about it, she got to be known. Ford Foundation will now want to do work around GBV. They called her and said, we heard you have been doing this kind of work. Can you put this proposal together and you can fund it? But let me give you two different types of stories. What do we do in Gwamaka Institute? In Gwamaka Institute, what we are doing is we have what we call idea generation sessions. Where we just meet to generate ideas. And then we write concept notes. Usually half a page, 1 page. And because for 50 years they've emerged as a leader in the field, we decide what's the question that is going out there. UNFP wanted to do ICPD plus 50. What are the questions that might be important to answer? We have the concept. I will talk to UNFP. we think that this might contribute to the next global convening you want to have in Nairobi. We would like to take a look at it. I don't know if you come back and say, yes, this is a question we are hoping that somebody will have. How much do you think you guys need? How much do you guys need? And like I always tell people, in Gomaka, it takes less than 24 hours to tell you how much we need. Because everything is on the system. You like, tell you, because they've established a name and a method. So what's the answer? The answer is, do not despise the day of small beginning. Keep on doing your work, but don't also hide the work you do. Speak about it. Showcases. And not just in scientific journals. That's one of the things I'm also trying to learn. That we must continue to put our work even in the places where people can get access to it. Sometimes, also be willing to take a risk. Maybe you write it, they don't take it. That's the end. But if there are agencies that you know are open to such things, just throw it at them. Go to their website, look at what they say they like, look at who the program officer is, send the project to him. If he likes it, he will talk to you. If he doesn't like it, but if he likes it, he also wants to be sure that you are the one that can do it. Sometimes that's what people are afraid of. That when I say this idea, they will not take it and use for other people. My answer is, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
When the idea was in your head, it produced nothing. If they steal it, you don't lose anything. The good thing is that you learn to think, and therefore you can produce new other ideas. It's a process. I don't think I answered your question, but I hope the answer is helpful in any way. All right.
I have the right answer to that. You know, Professor Fisher.
Yeah.
A group of people wrote a particular proposal. They are based in Naima. This one in Yaba.
Yeah,
Medical.
That's medical research.
So they sent it to WHO. WHO returned the paper. They said that they put Feshiton's name there.
Yeah.
They returned the paper. They said they didn't see Feshiton's English.
Yeah. In fact, he told us that
proposal.
Didn't see what?
It's English. So they were now forced.
Now this writing does not recognize, does not reflect what Feshiton writes.
It didn't, and it was not part of it. So they were forced to now send the paper to him in Ife. He puts some things there, and the thing was funded.
Another way it happens. Sometimes people have work. Like I just show you an example. When Ministry of Youth was going to develop a youth policy, I didn't know them. I wasn't talking to them. They went to collect money for UNEP. They said, if you want to write on this one, there's a consultant we believe you must bring into this. And they called me. I was just sitting by my house, and they called me and they asked me to come and do part of the work. And that's how. But see, I also tell people, it's also a very dangerous process. This one, because all this idea about reputation, but it takes a long time to build, but it takes very easy to destroy. You know, the day you do one terrible work, I'm like, just leave him. He's too full or he's too busy. So it's a whole lot of it's a delicate thing that okay, they bring you say you help them do the work, and now the work doesn't get done. No? But building consistently, working on yourself, working on ideas, working with others, you always help others. But we'll get there consistently by just pushing. Me, apart from there, well, there's kind of project money I'm looking for that I haven't gotten. You know, so but I know that if you keep working consistently and you are partnering with people, you will get there somehow.
Amen.
Amen. Our current director of research in Gomaka has a statement that I like. He said, well begun is half done, and you have begun well, so you are almost half of the way already. Enjoy the rest of the day. Sir? Oh, you have a question? Yeah. What was the question?
Not exactly a question. We just wanted to. We started off in the morning, reconsidering the structure of the program because of.
Yeah.
So we just want to be sure where we're standing on that.
Okay, all right. The program coordinator is not here. You know, there is a way to answer question when you don't want to answer it. You just wait. So, what letter was written to you? 5 days or 3 days?
5 days.
5 days, okay. So we thought that this NSC strike may cause trouble. However, let's do it this way. And please don't take this as gospel truth. We're going to consult. How many people are willing to stay for 5 days? NSC strike or not? Okay. All right. So this is what we'll do. You know, we'll talk and we'll present a picture. We probably will run the 5 days, but those who have to leave, for example, we are taking flights, we'll be free to leave, and then we'll continue, we turn to an hybrid. Does that make sense?
That's good.
And we're going to do like 3 days and stop. In fact, if you look at the timetable, where's the timetable?
Yes.
Who printed this one? I can't even see the. Why is it printed in blue? The ink has finished. Don't say yes, how? Because it's not the ink cannot finish. Ink cannot finish before you know it's finishing. You have extra ink. The last one I saw, we put a line actually. Oh, they put it there. They put Vasha somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, because originally, so you see the partial. So we might turn the partial to. We can remove it and run our 5 full days. We don't have a problem with that. We just want to be mindful. We don't want to be here. The family is wondering, NSC is striking. Where is the idea now? Where is? But we'll discuss more tomorrow. Let's continue. Okay. But like we said, we can turn others to hybrid, and then those who have to go can go. That sounds like a good compromise.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yes, sir.
It's not projecting. Abi? Bashemayon.
No.
Someone shaking.
Sometimes, but coaching. But you pick it, right?
Okay.
Okay. But you pick it already.
We are slide camera. Okay.
What's going on? Okay, good afternoon again this afternoon. You ready, Damilo?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes. Trust you're doing good.
Yes, sir.
Totally want to welcome you to an academic process. This is strictly academic. You hear the VC say you have to read, and read, and read. So we'll just continue with this aspect. What is research? Apart from what you are reading on the screen, what comes to your mind by the word research? I think I have less than 40 minutes or thereabout. So the extension is now in your hands. Me, I'm standing up, you are sitting down. What do you understand by the word research? Yes, ma'am.
Research is just to simply say, you have a question in your mind.
Okay.
You want to see what actually is the answer to it.
I like the way you are trying to do it. It reminds me of my English teacher. So when you are asked to define a particular word, don't use that word in that definition. So she's trying to run away from using. But what comes to your mind ordinarily by the word research? Yes, sir. Investigation. Okay. How will you tell my mother in the village, for example, the meaning of research? If you ask me that question, I will say it in a way that research. I will drag it. Okay? And then begin to talk about searching for something. And then I will break the word into two. Research. Meaning that it's been done before. I just want to research it. Am I communicating? All right. So, yes, it is true. There's nothing new under heaven. I was going to tell the VC the other time that you have heard about Ipekere before. Now they call it plantain chips. But it's the same thing, isn't it? Somebody just decided to do rebranding. Abi, what's the word now? Okay, packaging. Okay, but when it comes to research, it means that, okay, what has been done before, is it still the same thing now? If it's not the same thing now, what could have caused the change? Am I communicating? All right. So you are going to use the same data that people have been using. Okay, what else can I bring out of this data? You hear the VC say that the data was collected not because of you. You are the one that wants to make you and build some things that may not even be in the mind of the people that collected the data in the first instance. So when we talk about research, let it come to your mind that, okay, it's like, what do I want to contribute to the body of knowledge? Okay, it may be by way of methodology. It is the same thing, okay, but you want to, okay, I can get to this point by going this way. But can I get to that point by going this way? It's a matter of methodology to get new things done as long as the thing is concerned. So when we talk about, and it's systematic, it's a process. And you don't jump a particular process when it comes to research. So it's a process of collecting, analyzing data in order to increase our understanding of the phenomenon. Please underline the word increase. Okay? You are not here as if you don't know anything. At least I want to believe that there is no single person under this room who has not written a project before. How many of us have written an article before? Published ones. Okay? So we are exposed to it. We are exposed to it. Follows the process, it increases our understanding of the phenomenon with which we are concerned or interested. Now look at the word concerned and interested. One thing I normally tell my undergraduate students, even my PG students, is that they should think of something demographic out of motivation. What motivates you? Okay? I love this story very well. I told one of my undergraduate students like that, and he said he wants to do something on abortion. I said, why abortion? He said his sister committed abortion and everybody in the house was affected. So, and I felt, okay, from that point of view, let's move on. And he was able to finish very well. So, something you are concerned with, at the same time, it must interest you. The moment the interest is not there, you will lose interest that is not there. Okay? So in simpler terms, research is a way of going about finding answers to questions. So there must be question. And you ask yourself questions. And that's why we normally talk about research questions. Okay? Some school of thought believe that you must go from research question to objectives. Some believe that it is after you have written your objectives that you can now ask questions. Whichever way, the most important thing is that you have read your literatures very well and found out that there are gaps, and then you begin to ask questions. Why is this not covered? Why is that not covered? Why is this missing? And then you start thinking of, okay, let me bring all of these questions together. Can I get a broader topic on it? Now, research involves three main stages. One, planning, data collection, and analysis. Planning, data collection, and analysis. Why are we going to plan? Why do you have to plan? Because my secondary school principal says, if you fail to plan, then you are planned to fail. Okay? So there's nothing that doesn't need planning. Even you're coming here. Or did you just find yourself here? You have to plan. And all of these stages, they are time bound. There is a starting point, there must be a midpoint, and there must be the end point. Conceptualization. It's also a process. And what is that process? What do I want to do? So it requires thinking. Like the VC said, in that institute they have ideas generation. There's a place I had my sabbatical, NASOTEM. The director general was going to create a room called thinking room. The only thing in that room is a table, a paper, and a biro. All you have to do is think. Thinking room. So, when we talk about conceptualization, it's from what word? Concepts. Concepts. What do I want to build upon? What do I want to build upon? So, it involves coming up with clear, concise definitions. I don't want to spend too much time on this because the VC already talked about it. It can come from your own idea, especially most of the time what you observe. It can also come from literatures. When it comes from literature, what you are actually doing is to examine gap. What did she do that that I can investigate further? And that's why most projects, they will ask you in some schools areas for further studies, okay, that you can build upon. Most of the time when a master's student comes back for PhD, I ask the person, what did you do in your master's class? If he or she tells me the topic, do you want to continue? What are the gaps you identified at that point in time? And then we can pick it up from there and blow it, except the person wants to do something entirely new. So it can come from literature, it can come from your own idea or what has happened to you before, like the case of the guy whose sister committed abortion. It can come from just mere looking. We were coming from Lagos this morning. Early in the morning, we left around after 6. Early in the morning, we saw a man, well, not such a man, a youth. He was sitting on the divider, you know, the divider that divides the road, soaked with blood, fresh blood, because blood was still dripping. And nobody bothered to move near him. And he came to us that he said, if this guy doesn't get enough care now, very shortly he can faint. And I just remember what the Bible says, that the life of the flesh is consists in the blood. Take the blood away, the person is gone. And then it occurred to me that if this man should fall down and die, it is that time people will now move around to pack the body so that it doesn't constitute another thing to them. So, it can come from what you have observed and what is going on. I love this story. I don't know whether I shared it during your socialization stuff. There was it was the same Professor Fisheto that was the project coordinator, and the work involves, well, there is in Yoruba land there is what is called abiku. What is the English? Born and die. Do you understand what I'm talking about? It's not still birth. It's real life birth, and at a certain stage the person died. Abi. So we're looking for what is the cause. And one of the things that we highlighted in the questionnaire is for the interviewers to ask questions about the kind of stream, the kind of water they use for cooking, for drinking, for any other purpose. The moment they mention stream, the interviewer must go to that stream and look at the activities at the stream, especially look at the direction of flow, what activities happens in between, at the point, and then afterwards. So I and my boss also went there just to check what is going on, and we got to a particular stream. At some point they were washing clothes, and some point somebody was having his bath, okay, and at some point the other one, I don't want to mention it. No, I just saw my boss, he did like this, put his hand at the back and shook his head. I said, God, what's the problem? He said, do you know that so many years back I drank this kind of water, and all I need to do is to get a bowl, do like this, do like this. How many of us have done it before? I hope you are not Indomie generation. do like this, and there is a Yoruba saying that says, "Ẹ̀gbin omi kì í pààyàn." And then you drink. Raw. And nothing happens actually. Even if it is happening small. This same boss of mine resides within the university quarters. He cannot drink the water from the dam without boiling it. He now remembers some years back. So somebody can just stand by that stream and ideas begin to come. Ideas like sanitation, ideas like health seeking behavior and things like that surrounds environmental issues and this. So topic can come from anywhere. I was told of a story, maybe in my part 1 or part 2 in maths department. The man who found epsilon, you know epsilon? How can you know epsilon? You remember regression equation? Y is equal to A plus B X plus E. That E is not letter E, it's actually epsilon, like this, like a Greek E. How did the man find out? He was sleeping with his wife and shouted from his dream, "Bring my glasses, my wife, bring my glasses. I'll find it. The wife was like, "Found what? Bring your glasses." I'll find. What did he find? He found epsilon. And that's how it came to be. It can come through dreams too. Through imaginations. Sometimes you are in the middle of some people, okay? While the noise was going on, you were doing something different. When I was going to start my PhD, I was in a party. I already have the idea, but I just felt that this party is not for me. But I was sitting down there, at least mark my presence. But I was right, because I was going to do work on bone setters. So I was busy writing with the hope of going back to develop, because if I didn't write at that time, only follow. So it can come through your observation, through the literatures that you have read and things like that. Just keep your mind open along the line. What is a concept? I need the ladies in this class to read. The first bullet. Ladies. Yes, all ladies.
Conceptualization, the art and practice of discovery, is the first and some may argue the most difficult part of research.
Once you are able to get that, sincerely, the work becomes easier. Look at the word discovery. The word discovery. The moment you are able to get that, you are good to go. You are good to go. The second bullet, men.
Selecting, but formulating unsearchable research problem. It is more than simply generating a list of interesting topics.
So, process of not only selecting a topic, but formulating a defensible and researchable. Do you know that sometimes when a student comes with a particular proposal, sometimes you can tell the student you are too ambitious, you cannot finish this work. I don't know whether it has happened to you before. Have you heard that kind of thing before? Is there a way you can defend your concept? Now, because it is your concept, you must be able to defend it. Right? Am I right or right? You must be able to defend it. It's just like this nicer woman. If I'm going to take her glasses, by reflex, she can do like this. And what is that saying? It's my home. Or it's not your own?
It's mine, sir.
It's her home. I cannot take it without permission. Okay? I cannot force it out of her. Why? Because it's her own. So it's your topic, you should be able to defend it. The moment you are not able to defend it, it will be like my brother one day was carrying me, and there was this OAU security man was passing, and then the guy got confused, and my brother said he doesn't understand what he himself is doing. So you should be able to defend it. It must be a researchable topic. As we move on, the last one, let's read it all together.
General topic to a clear research program.
So the second bullet and the third bullet, they are related, because it has to do with researchable research problem. And so good conceptualization involves moving from a general topic to a clear research topic. What is the meaning of the word clear there? Something researchable, smart, and what's the S there? Specific, measurable, achievable, and all other labels. How to develop a concept? 2 steps. 1, what is the topic? Identify what you want to study. The second one, what is the problem? Why should anyone care? Okay? For example, in public health, why should somebody care about insecticide-treated nets? Okay? Why should somebody care about the fact that somebody is coming down with malaria in a particular household size of 10? Why should somebody care? So just be able to look at it that way. Identify what you want to study. Now, what is the problem? Why should anyone care? Identify the problem you seek to address and the gap you want to fill, because that is eventually going to be what you are contributing to knowledge. Am I communicating?
Yes, sir.
My epidemiology teacher once told us in class, he said, when you are tired, yarn. By the time you yarn 3 times, then you know that you are tired, and then we can call it off. Identify the intended contributions of the study. That is how to fill a particular gap that you have identified, and you cannot do that until you have gone through literatures. Components of research. This is a pie chart. It has to do with theory, method, and epistemology. What is epistemology? Do we have a class governor in this class?
Yes, sir.
Who is the class governor? Who? Where is the person? You? Okay, good. So, I usually ask questions from the class governor. If he or she doesn't understand it, she can then transfer the thing to any member of the class, or it becomes an assignment. What is epistemology? I know you know about theory, and of course about method. What is epistemology? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Systematic way of acquiring knowledge.
Systematic way of acquiring knowledge. And please look at the way it flows. Theory. Why is theory the first one? At what point does it become a theory? When it has been tested, and just not just tested. I'm a statistician, so I won't stop as tested. Yes, when it has been tested and accepted into the body of knowledge, it becomes a theory. If it's not accepted, it still go back to hypothesis, and then you retest again. Now you now have a theory, and that's why you are reading the works of other people to identify the gap. Okay, now you know your topic is clear. How do I do it? Method. That's the method. Now the epistemology will now be what? Can you say it again? systematic way of acquiring knowledge or generating knowledge, and that's what you are contributing. Okay? What this thing called well, I usually call it salami method. What is salami method? What does it mean?
When you take the paper and one and have it in like 2 or 3 parts. Like they use it in salami slices that don't
It's just like you want to talk about children never born in a particular place, Ibadan, and you also want to do the same children never born in Ondo. Okay, you are not really contributing anything anywhere. Okay, you are just changing the place of study. You know, so these three comes to mind when you are also thinking of what you want to write about. Contributions, conceptual contributions, improved conceptual definitions of the original constructs. The identification of and conceptual definition of additional constructs to be added to the conceptual framework. What is the meaning of conceptual framework? We have no problem with the word concept, right? Now, framework. What do we understand by framework? Yes, ma'am.
skeletal structure.
A what?
The framework is like a structure.
A structure, yes.
So a conceptual framework would be the basis of the work you're doing. Like putting it in a structure, then you begin to add literature and then whatever you find.
Okay.
We need to get our ideas that will form
4/10. Yes, sir.
Yes.
The what?
Imagination by
Imagination.
in a
Okay.
related tense or to a related tense.
Imagination. Somebody is still imagining. Yes.
When you have some concepts, some key things,
Okay.
the topic or the project you want to do, and you are looking at how those things interplay,
That's
whether
right.
with each other or with other external factors.
Okay. So, whether directly to the outcome or indirectly to the outcome. And that comes clear from your topic and objectives. That's how you develop your conceptual framework. What happens, take for example, if our interest is to look into, can I have a topic? From nowhere. Huh? Adolescent motherhood. Repeat pregnancies among adolescent motherhood. Now, that topic, what is likely to be our outcome variable? Pregnancy. Repeat pregnancy. No. She talks about motherhood. She be you fi be money. Huh? Abi? It is the motherhood. Repeated pregnancy. Pregnancy doesn't really must result into motherhood. I don't know whether you agree. Okay? Not all pregnancy results into motherhood. Sure. Eh? Some are not carried to term. Yeah. So, meaning that we're going from the left hand side, repeated pregnancy. There will be some socio-demographic factors that will lead to repeated pregnancy that will result in motherhood. And there can be direct relationship between socio-demographic factors straight to motherhood. So when we have conceptual framework, what we're looking at is what are the direct influence and indirect influence of, well, permit me to say, the left hand side to the right hand side. Okay? The factors we're examining and then the outcome variable. The development of additional theoretical linkages, that's research hypothesis, with rationale. Why are we setting hypothesis? Because we don't know, we are not sure until we have tested the whole lot. So we need to set, and not all researches will need hypothesis anyway. Okay, especially descriptive ones. Maybe when we get to that by the third day, we will get more understanding. The development of improved theoretical rationale for existing linkages. Empirical contributions. What is the meaning of the word empirical? Applied. Empirical.
That means you have followed the research processes.
Research processes.
Beyond theoretical.
Beyond theoretical. Specific cases. All right. Now, testing a theoretical linkage between two constructs that has not previously been tested. Second bullet. Somebody at the back.
Examine the effects of potential moderator variable on the nature of the relationship between two constructs.
What comes to mind? Two constructs, right? And we're looking at effects of a potential moderator. What does that mean? Grammatically, what's the meaning of moderator? Now, don't tell me somebody that moderates. Beautiful, good. So it's like what I said the other time. If repeated pregnancy is just up there, okay, what goes on from socio-demographic to repeated pregnancy and then to motherhood, okay, or like that. And then of course social media, print media, news media and things like that, they can also serve as moderators. The third bullets, somebody in the front.
Determining the degree to which a variable mediates the relationship between two constructs.
Does that explain itself? All right. And then the last one, investigating the psychometric properties of an important scale. What is the meaning of psychometric? Can we Google it? Psycho is for what word? Psychology. Psychology. Thank you, because you didn't mention arrow. Psychometric properties of an important scale. Is a scientific discipline.
Concerned with the construction of assessment tools, measurement instruments.
Good. All right. So that makes it well defined now. Methodological contributions. Reduce the potential problems with shared method variance through the use of multiple methods of measurement. Multiple methods of measurement. Methodological contributions. I once sit on a panel that has to do with what they call postgraduate committee of the faculty, and the chairman of the committee looked at a particular work. He was so impressed. The guy was not doing anything new. Was in economics. Was not doing anything new, but the only thing new is the method. of achieving a particular thing. Okay? So, will you agree with me that, what's his name again? This man that carries big Bible now. What's his name? Emefiele. Is he not the one that carries big Bible now? You know what he did was also a kind of method. Devilish method. But it didn't work. It's a policy that didn't work. Alright. Now, increase the generalizability of the research through more appropriate sampling procedures. What comes to your mind by that word? Generalizability. Huh? Yeah. Take a small sample, find out what is happening, and then generalize it. Okay? So when you look at 40, and then you generalize it over 300. Now, when we talk about methodology, at the end of the day, we will talk about the increase in the way we generalize our findings. Enhance the construct validity of key measures through the use of refined multiple item measures and or the use of measurement approaches that do not rely on self-reports. It does not rely on self-reports. What are we talking about here? Whatever method we are making use of must be valid. And there's a way of testing validity of a particular method. Okay? Even the instruments that we use, you still will have to carry out some validity test. What do they call it, sir? Validity and reliability. The educations we use test, retest, measurement. Some other people use, is it Cronbach? Oh, I can't remember now. Yes, please.
So this third bullet, how does it apply to the use of qualitative methods?
Qualitative method. Qualitative methods also has their own different methods of analyzing the data. It can be content analysis. You can decide to use thematic way of analyzing it. But because it is the perception of the people, you are not in the position to say they are right or they are wrong. But you are able to, from what they are saying, analyze what you are saying and do some kind of frequency distribution of what they are saying. Not in terms of, not numerically. But when you begin to say, out of about 5 people, 4 people said the same thing, then you generalize that in this community, this is what is happening. It's just like people were telling us, oh, the stream that we drink from is there. And you get to another household. So at the end of the day, you conclude that is this the same stream that they are drinking from? And so if there is any outbreak, you link it to that stream. And if there is any intervention you want to do, it is because of that stream. Am I able to? Why does research matter? Why does research matter? Okay.
There are still problems that requires solutions.
That's right.
We still have some problems in the social structures. We still have problems in terms of there are still new things that we can find to make life easier, to improve our well-being generally.
How many of us are mothers here? How many of us are mothers with at least 2 children? Did you treat them the same way? No. As social science, when we are going to the field and we need information about a particular child, we will mention the name of that child. The mother will remember everything about the birth of that child. Usually I tell my mom, small, they are recording, There was a day my mother said, only Bakuta. And my wife was like, no wonder. The moment you mention that child's name, the mother we don't usually ask fathers, they don't have time. We know ourselves now. Why are you looking at me that way? But the truth actually is that you know each child, what they want, what they don't want. I have 2 boys. One likes party, the other one doesn't like party. So when the first one turned 10, he wanted the party, doesn't want any other thing. And then he invited all his friends. Well, when the other one turned 10, he said, I don't buy me keke, bicycle. Today he doesn't like party. What do I do? That's their nature. So, why does research matter? It matters. Why? Because you cannot. Do you remember Panadol? Do you also remember Panadol Extra? Why do you think they did Panadol Extra? After all, Panadol is Panadol, Abi?
From feedback.
Effectiveness from feedbacks. But me as a statistician, I want to test if there's any significant difference in the effectiveness of Panadol and Panadol Extra. For me to now say, okay, Panadol Extra is more effective or less effective, or is not even effective at all. Okay? That's why research is very important. So that we
may also want to find out new ways to solve
a particular problem. Exactly. Now that these are periods of Japa, there is the other one, Sapa. They are becoming terms in demography now. Japa is like migration, isn't it? So, but now it's like there's another term coming up, Sapada. Abi Japada. Japada. Japada means they are coming back. Abi? But if you look at it 30 years ago, was it like that? Or was it well pronounced? Not this pronounced.
There was also a time before now.
Or well, maybe it's not being reported. That can be another research entirely.
Yes.
Because when you're looking for migration data, it's problematic in this country. It's problematic in this country. Especially most vital registration stuff. So we need research. The first one, the world is changing and new challenges are developing that hamper our well-being. I saw a video where a dog was eating maize. You have not seen it before?
Mediterranean.
The world is changing. Do we all agree to that?
Yes, sir.
And new challenges are developing that hamper our well-being. There's something they call climate change, right? There is environmental issues. So new phenomena, social, political, economic, health, etc. We need to new challenges. And then of course we need new solutions. There is this saying in Yoruba, I can't remember now. Ẹni tó bá fojú àná wò kú. Who said that? Who concluded it?
It's from Nice.
It's from where?
As a song.
Oh. Nice is a new generation person now.
Yes.
Oh. But when you come to new phenomena, look at that arrow down. Research helps us to understand new phenomena. Why are these changes happening now? Why are these changes happening now? And when we have new challenges, it means research helps us to identify new challenges. What are the causes of these challenges? And then research will help us to find solutions. What can be done to help the affected population? So it's all about what? Population. Why? Because we're talking about well-being. Who should benefit from your research? When you ask our graduate students to write recommendations, most of the time you find out that they are writing recommendations based on what they want, not what the findings of the research actually talked about. Government should do this, government should do that, government should do this, government should do that. Sometimes we throw it back to them, go and write something on the basis of your finding. What do you think? This thing we had in PG College, it will get to us. Why are you saying government should do this? You know. So, government will benefit, definitely. In what way will government benefit? When you have carried out your own research and you bring out salient policy issues that can be driven, Professor Patterson will say policy means politics and science. Because before you can get the policy approved, from the classroom it is science. But before you can get the policy approved, you have to play politics. Can you imagine? Organizations, programs aimed at development will use your work to fix challenges and fill existing gaps. So organization will now want to sit down on the basis of it. Can we write a proposal for intervention? You, the owner of the work, may not be found. All right. Research community. Your research should be part of the conversation and contribute to existing knowledge and not repeat it. If you are repeating it, you are not contributing anything. We recently went to Osogbo, took about 3 students there. We wanted them to get used to primary data collection. How do you build rapport with respondents? How do you collect sensitive information? You know, there are some information in which the wife will tell you, if my husband is not around, I can't talk. Or the wife can say, I cannot say anything about this one. No. Especially when you are asking questions that has to do with family planning. You need to be, and then when you ask questions that touches on cultural issues, I can ask you freely, how many children do you have? And you tell me. Okay? But in the core Yoruba people, they will say, oh, no, we don't count the number of children for the owner. And so you now have to build rapport. Until mẹ́ta tó ní ẹ̀kọ́ nǹkan bí wọ́n jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. You know. So your research should be part of the conversation. So when you got to Osogbo, we first had to go to Ataja's office, palace, to let him know that we are in town. And he welcomed us very well. One thing the man said, or the Kabiyesi said, was that when you are done with this, please send us your findings. Whatever he wants to do with it. But he asked us to. But we that we went to Osogbo, we know that we want to expose our students to the community. Okay? Of course, the data is also there, can be analyzed and whatever. So, your research should talk about community. Somebody will say, oh, so is that the reason? What then can we do as a community? On and on that way. Who should benefit? Academia. You represent your institution of higher education. As such, your research will boost the university's profile, especially when it is published. Your students, we are always teaching. Your research should encourage the curiosities and improve the skills of your students. Some years back, I used to teach social aspects of family planning. Social aspects. We left the other one for health sciences. Ours deals with social aspect of family planning. That singular course is taken in part 4. And one of our students graduated, and a particular NGO employed him because of that singular course. Not all the mathematics that we taught him, not all the demographic techniques that we taught him, just that theoretical social aspect. You must be known there. What's your exercise? Stephen. I mean, maybe Stephen you call yourself?
Yes,
now. Okay.
Sexual reproductive health.
Sexual reproductive. What organization do you belong to? Where? Which school? Foye. Oh, this school of yesterday. Yeah? That's great. My brother in glasses. You are the only one in glasses. Health Services Management. You will be known wherever you are. But what brought you here has to do with adolescents, isn't it? So issues about adolescents. And not just adolescents with certain age range. Okay? And so you will now begin to think of what can I do in my different areas that can be linked to adolescents. Research process. What is the research process? I want somebody that uses glasses to read the first bullet.
The research process is a systematic way we go about conceptualizing, collecting, and analyzing data and reporting results.
The second one, another person that is using glasses. All right. Dr. Mrs. The third bullet. To ensure that our results are reliable and valid. So meaning that if you carried out a particular work and you state the process, 2, 3, 4 years after, I should be able to follow the same process and get the same results. Except there is something wrong somewhere. Except there's something wrong somewhere. So, all researchers follow the same pragmatic process to ensure that our results are reliable and valid. Now let's look at this. It looks like a conceptual framework, but it's cyclic in nature. Number 1, originates with a question or problem. That's a process. Followed by, that problem requires a clear articulation of a goal. And it follows a specific plan of procedure. usually divides the principal problems into more manageable sub-problems which guide the research. For example, you have heard about general objectives and specific objectives. The specific objectives are for you to be able to say something about the general objective. And then number 5, assess certain critical assumptions, accepting conditions that are necessary for carrying out with the research, not hypothesis. They test the question. The beginner researcher is recommended to evaluate each assumption and not to take too much for granted. A very short example. If you are going to make use of a particular statistical technique, you must know the assumption underlying it. Okay? And then requires collection and interpretation of data to answer original research question. And by the time you do that, by the time you go through 1, 2, 3 up to 5, getting to 6, another problem will have emerged. And then you begin again with that new problem. Where do I begin? The first step is to read. Read widely. Read as far back as you can. Read the most recent papers too. So, how many reads? Read, read, and read. Where do I begin? The second step is to identify gaps in the existing literature. Pay particular attention to the limitations and recommendations for future research sessions. This is where the gaps are. For example, if you take a particular project work, if you can just go through the topic of that person and go through areas for further research, that's the gap the guy did not feel in his own work. And that may be a good place to start. And then you start reading about that area. The third step is to read again to make sure your identified gaps have not been done. What does that mean? Read though, so that oh my God. Huh? So that you are not accused of plagiarizing. I think it's about 7 years imprisonment. I can't remember now. A colleague of mine in Usuka was to examine a PhD student as an examiner. And as she was reading, she was like, before, I've read this work before. I've read this work before. Now click on her and call the guy and say, what did you say is the topic of your PhD work? And the person told him, say, in fact, PhD man. That's bad. Yes, sir.
That's the thing happened before you.
Okay.
One of our colleagues, they write somebody's PhD work in UI.
Wow.
And it was published. So I think after some years, the supervisor was reading something on the net and found and was reading and I said, so tell me truth, this wicked, he published this book that he just supervised him without even consulting me.
Wow.
Not called the guy. So he published this book, he didn't put my name. He hasn't written anything. So then, the woman wrote the VC of 4 years ahead.
Wow. Wow.
The staff was sacked.
Wow. Plagiarism is a terrible thing. So please read again, before somebody will come. In fact, the way students now say it, they are so affirmative. This work has not been done before. They will say it confidently. So how many journals have you read in English? How many have you read in French? How many have you read in some other languages that you now come up and say, it has never been done before? Okay, so again, please read to make sure that you identify gaps have not been done. List these gaps, and as you come across papers that have addressed this, cross it off your list. As you come across more gaps, add this to your list. Decide on which of the remaining gaps you are interested in. Okay? The fourth step is to start thinking about how you will fill the gap by formulating an objective or a hypothesis. Turn the gap into a question, objective, or hypothesis. Okay, number one, reading all the past papers on adolescent HIV. That will lead to populating a literature review matrix. How many of us have heard that word before? Literature review matrix. All right. Highlighting gaps in each paper. Identifying that adolescent HIV related and AIDS mortality has not been done. And then we go to number 3. Doing another review of literature to ensure the topic has not been done. Nowadays, when I want to read or edit a particular paper, I'll just copy the title, Google it. If it brings out anything, that will be the end. Okay? It is expected that when you want to steal, steal very well, or steal methodologically.
You see a lot of steal.
Kò sóhun tuntun lábẹ́ ọ̀run àwọn aṣáájú wa wọ́n ti kọrin àwọn aṣáájú wọn. Àbí? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What did you say?
All the past papers on adolescent.
Reading all the past papers on adolescent. What do you want me to say? Ahead. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. Don't say it is not possible. Okay, let me read all past English papers. Are you satisfied? Don't forget that we said read, and read. Just to be sure that the topic has not been done. And so we do another review of literature to ensure the topic has not been done. And that's why we said at the other slide that when you identify that a particular gap has been filled before by another research entirely, cross it out. Cross it out. By the time you start reading again, you will get another gap. And in any case, in any particular manuscript or paper, I don't expect you to fill more than 2 gaps. 2-3 gaps, and you are done. Okay? In any case, each of the objectives is supposed to talk about gaps. Getting research ideas, observation and interaction with subjects or objects, personal experience, curiosity, personal deduction, purposeful reading of current business, social conundrum and or challenge or interest or textbook, media and public information on an issue or issues, following an expert study